It was 4:30 in the morning when I first saw it. A jaw-dropping phenomenon of epic proportions. I'd gotten up early one day to read, to research and write. You have to fight for those quiet moments in my home with 3 small children. There's a lot of noise and crying. Sometimes the children cry too. But I was sitting there at my dining room table and I watched a video that captivated me. And it sent me on a journey of learning. And I can't wait to share with you the lessons that I found along the way. It was a video of a murmuration. A murmuration is a natural phenomenon with starlings that flock and fly together, moving effortlessly through the sky. It's like a bird ballet that comes to life, and the birds consistently avoid collisions. And there's thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of birds in these formations. It is simply breathtaking. My name is Lucas Ramirez, and I really am so excited to be here today to share with you lessons that I've learned from this natural phenomenon and new research that has come out on it. They are lessons for how to unleash unity in our deeply divided world. If you'd like an enhanced experience to my presentation, you can download all of my slides for free with bonus content. There's even further links for reading and research that you can do in there. Just go to lucasramirez.org/TEDx, and you can go on your own journey of learning. Our world is deeply divided. We have what I call a crisis of fragmentation. And the fault lines run deep in all sorts of directions. I mean, politically, our camps are at war with one another instead of reaching out across the aisle. And in recent political campaigns, there have been more landslide victories, showing we've even migrated geographically to be around people who think just like us. Racially, recent demonstrations show that there are still a lot of unresolved issues in our communities. In our churches, theology and ideology bifurcate our faith communities. And the words of Martin Luther King Jr. still ring true, that Sunday mornings are still one of the most fragmented and segregated times of the week. Even in the nucleus of the home, the high divorce rate shows that this crisis of fragmentation has hit us at our homes. And the list goes on. Gender, race, class, socioeconomic status, we have a crisis of fragmentation, but we were designed for more. Even our neurobiological and social makeup show that we were hardwired for unity and collective movement, not isolation and independence. We know in our hearts we all crave unity. That's why even on our American coins, we have the phrase e pluribus unum, out of many, one. We know that a divided kingdom cannot stand. But this unity still eludes us, like a child grasping a handful of sand, or like a voice continually around the next corner, and the voice is just getting farther these days. We're at our worst when we're divided. But the opposite is also true. When we come together and when we can unite, the results can be unbelievable. Consider that the most successful businesses, movements, teams, and organizations of history are those that brought together their diverse parts into one cohesive whole. Even research from over 300 global companies shows some interesting statistics. Organizations and businesses that have diversity of gender on their teams outperform their competition financially by 15%. But it gets even better. Businesses that have ethnically diverse teams outperform their competition by 35%. Unity within diversity has huge payoffs. But the payoffs aren't just financial. When we can collaborate, we can pioneer new frontiers for medicine, education, foster care, even fighting slavery and human trafficking. Just 2 weeks before I visited the Philippines in 2013, the three main Christian denominations of that country wrote a statement of solidarity, committing that they were going to pool their resources to fight human trafficking and slavery in their country, a huge problem there. Or consider the church in Kigali, Rwanda, that is offering the highest level of relief to people with HIV and AIDS in the country. What's cool is that this church is made up of people from both the Hutus and the Tutsis tribes, the two tribes that nearly exterminated one another in the 1994 genocide. These stories move us, these movies of people putting down their differences to unite around a larger cause. These are the stories that we love to hear. But when we hear stories like that, we're left with a bit of a question, and that's this. Are those just a flash in the pan? Or can we sustain any real movement to overcome our crisis of fragmentation? I am here to give you hope, to say, yes, we can move beyond our divided state. But we don't just need voices today to give us hope and optimism. We need people to actually give us a roadmap for how to move forward. And when we have a path, that actually produces hope in us. And maybe, just maybe, we can look to nature to give us some of that how. Recent science, video capabilities with advanced technology, GPS tracking, has all these new technologies have allowed scientists to study murmurations in new ways. And the implications are groundbreaking. As I dove into this research, and I began to study the principles that are driving this phenomenon, I began to see that these principles have broader implications and applications. You know, the science and nature has so many lessons to help solve complex human problems, and this phenomenon has the keys to unleashing collective movement in our communities. The way I like to say it is this: birds first taught us how to fly, and now they will teach us how to unify. Thank you. As I dove deeper and deeper and deeper into this fascinating research on my journey of learning, I began to overlay an anthropological perspective. I began to pull in ideas from system dynamics. I began to pull in ideas from organizational leadership. And what emerged was a tapestry of signposts to help us move beyond our divided state. I've put together these ideas in our first book that's coming out. It's called Designed for More. It's coming out in June of this year. And I outline 7 principles from the Murmuration. And this first book is written specifically to the Christian church, a community of faith that has historically been divided, but was really designed to operate as one. Then in my second book, I'm going to apply the Murmuration principles to a broader audience so we can unleash collective movement in our businesses and in our communities. So today, I want to just share 2 of those 7 principles so that you can walk out of this room with something intensely practical to do, something that you can wake up tomorrow and do to help us move beyond our siloed and divided state. And the first principle is this: within the phenomenon, the birds have an extreme focus on a common strategy. They have an extreme focus on a common strategy. Originally, scientists wondered if the murmuration was possible and why the murmuration was occurring. It could have been because the birds were trying to generate heat and warmth. These formations generally occur in later fall, early winter. And although gathering warmth may be a beneficial byproduct to the murmuration, what the new science shows is that the murmuration is a direct response to a predator that's in the area. The peregrine falcon is one of these elite predators. It hovers high above its prey and does blistering nosedives to pick off an isolated bird. It can get up to 200 miles an hour in its dive, making it the fastest mammal on the planet in those moments. I mean, this is an elite predator. How do you defend against an elite predator? You unite. And rather than competing against one another, the starlings have realized that they need to work together, a common strategy to defend against the real enemy. In our communities, we have so often made our neighbor or the other the enemy. And instead of working together with common strategies for our cities, we fight one another. It is time to redefine who the right enemies are. It's time to generate collective ideas for how to solve the ails in our communities. Put down the hateful, judgmental, and prejudiced ideas that come from our in-group mentalities from one another. Common strategy is critical. Collective movement. But common strategy is not quite enough. It needs to work in tandem with the second principle that I want to share with you today, and that is this. The starlings know and respond to their 7 influential neighbors. First, scientists wondered how the speed and efficiency is possible in the murmuration. The birds have unbelievable reaction times in these formations. And they postulated, could it be that the birds are responding to others within a certain distance? Could it be that they have some invisible brain transference going on? The new research is showing that the starlings are responding to their 7 closest neighbors at any given time. Their 7 neighbors, regardless of how tight it is, regardless how it expands. And this produces efficiency. Watch this. Relationships produce efficiency. Let me put this in context for you. Your average reaction time for humans is about 198 milliseconds. The average bird reaction time is 38 milliseconds. Pretty fast. In the murmuration, the starling's reaction time gets as low as 15 milliseconds. This is possible because they are completely aware of their neighbors at any given time and responding appropriately. When we begin to add common strategy and a knowledge and response to our 7 influential neighbors, something happens. And this too should give us great hope, because what we see in this phenomenon is this concept. Complex order does not require complex behavior. Let me say it again. Complex order does not require complex behavior. When it comes to this concept and idea of unity and moving past our dividing walls, we lose a lot of hope really fast. And we just sort of throw our hands up in the air and we say, let's not even try it. I'll just stay in my comfortable silo. This is much better over here. And it seems so hard and unreachable that we just quit. For the birds, it's not some crazy complex thing that creates this unity. They stay true to their principles day in and day out, whether it's snowing or whether there's a headwind, whether it's freezing, whatever the circumstance is around it, their behavior, which isn't that complex, produces complex order. Who are the 7 people for you? Do you have 7 people who are influencing you? If you're ready to take on this challenge and be part of the solution, I challenge you to find 7 people who are going to impact you and challenge you to view the world differently. The key is you've got to find people that are diverse than you. Find somebody from a different generation. Find somebody from a different gender. Find somebody from a different cultural background. And then take the posture of a learner, because the whole point of it is to learn and allow them to influence you. That is something intensely practical each of us can begin to do. If I could boil down these 2 principles into just one key idea for you to walk away with, it would be this. The 2 engines to collective movement are relationships and strategy. Relationships and strategy working in tandem produces a near nuclear energy for us to move into the state of completion that we were designed for. But all of this comes with a warning, a very serious warning. Because if we unite and we generate collective movement around a wrong motive or around a wrong cause, the outcomes can be terrible. History has shown us that the unity of the selfish and powerful produces oppression. History has also shown us that the unity of the oppressed brings revolution. But watch this last one. This is the sweet spot for change. The unity of the humble brings transformation. The unity of the selfish and powerful has oppressed entire people groups, and history has shown us that. And then when those people are oppressed, they unite and they rise up, they bring revolution. But revolutions have always been associated with war and bloodshed, and sometimes they overthrow one regime just to usher in another one. But the stories of history that have brought lasting change to our communities are those that have been led by humble leaders who bring about transformation, where the old is gone and something new comes to life. These are the stories of Nelson Mandela, who helped overthrow apartheid in South Africa. These are the stories of William Wilberforce, who helped overthrow slavery in England. Or consider Mother Teresa, the humble leader that showed us how to love the oppressed and the outcast of the world. The humble servant leader is the one that transforms their communities, and we need a unity of people like that to change our communities. Amen. So there's a lot of problems in our world, and I would propose to you that unity within diversity is the highest leverage thing that we can do to solve our community ails. It's easy to divide, it comes natural, but show me a leader who can bring together people that are diverse. That is powerful. What if we began to murmurate? What if we began to move in efficiency and power, finesse and beauty? What if we could respond to our neighbors and design collective strategies for our world? What if we could redefine who the enemy is and humbly serve our neighbor? You can be part of that movement. In fact, you're an irreplaceable part of the system. You have experience, talent, giftings, perspective. We need your story. When we begin to operate in our greater design, the outcomes could be limitless, and we could charter new waters together. Imagine if we sparked a murmuration of our own. Thank you so much.